Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my Let's Play of the Baldur's Gate Trilogy. In this episode we'll be fighting Balthazar and fighting the goddamn Ravager. God, he's a pain in the ass, isn't he? So my apologies for not commentating the last video. I felt like it was fairly self-explanatory. The fight with the Balthazar is pretty sloppy, but his AI got all confused or something, and I was able to just keep him in place while I summoned monsters and then just wailed away on him. But if you thought that fight was sloppy, wait till you see this Ravager fight. Holy crap.
I have to leave again soon, so I can't help you much. But I can help you a little, whether you like it or not. It's important that this all ends soon. But that doesn't mean I won't lift a finger over it. There may be another way in, but you'll have to find it on your own. Now, I must go. From this point on...
So my apologies it's been taking me so long to finish up this playthrough. I guess there's three reasons for that. One is, honestly, I was kind of sick of this character. I've said that before. Honestly, the tactics have not changed for a long time. Like when you don't have a goal to look forward to, you know, like that new item or that new level or the extra spells or, you know, something like that, it kind of, I don't know, I guess RPGs just sort of lose their charm. I mean, that progression, that sense of becoming more powerful is a huge draw for me, as it is for most RPG players, I think. So without that in play, I felt like it's like, you know, I feel like it was just phoning it in. You know, I just needed to finish up the playthrough. And I've also been kind of into League of Legends. My friends are in gold, and one of them's in platinum. So in order for me to play ranked with them, I needed to get my account to gold. So I've been trying to work on that. It takes a long time and it's frustrating, but I've been trying to do that. And the third reason is that I actually am changing jobs. So I was studying to get a new job. It's a QA analysis job. So I'd be doing software testing and stuff like that. And I actually start tomorrow. So that's a cool change because my previous occupation was not interesting to me and this one is. So hopefully it works out, and yeah, it should be a good change for me.
I'll see. Speak your mind if you must.
But with all that being said, this playthrough's nearly finished. I think this will be either the second to last or the third to last episode, depending on how long it takes for me to clear the like the Melisande fights. I think there will be a little bit of trial and error involved, as you'll see. Same thing with the Ravager.
Speak your mind if you must.
I think overall, this character is the most powerful character I've ever had. I've never had this easy of a time soloing anything.
I'm willing. I hope this is worth it.
The only other one that comes even close is the Fighter Thief. And even then, there's a lot less, I don't want to say a lot less power, but a lot less, what's the word? Feels like there are fewer options in combat. Because the Fighter Thief can use scrolls and any item and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, the fact that you get time stop and improved alacrity allows a lot of the lesser used spells to become much more effective because you can just spam them out.
You have done well, delivering the ball spawn as you promised. I assume they have been drugged.
So things that ordinarily are really bad later in the game, like Melf's Acid Arrow or any of the other kind of lower damage spells that are a quick cast time, but they're just the opportunity cost because it takes, you know, how do I explain this? Sorry, I'm trying to watch the comment or watch the gameplay and keep a train of thought. So every time you cast a spell without improved alacrity on it means that you're giving up the ability to cast another spell or ability. So in the case of a fighter thief, if you want to cast a scroll, then you're giving up the ability to cast a hardiness, to cast a an improved whirlwind attack, do any of the other abilities that you have at your disposal. With this character, there's no such thing because improved alacrity, you can just chain together all the spells.
Hold still.
Not to mention the fact that there's, the wish and project image cheeses that you can just have infinite spells. I don't know if I'll have to resort to doing that with the Melisande fight. I doubt it, but maybe. It all depends. I seem to remember when I was younger that I had trouble resting in between the Melisande fights. So if that's the case, then I might have to do, one cast of Wish or something like that, just to keep my spellbook fresh.
I truly regret my wasted Melisande. She lured me with promises of power and glory, but I followed her. Melisande is the puppet master, pulling your strings in this staged production. Once I am certain I am the last, once I know there are no others, I will perform how many bodies...
I'm actually glad I'm doing this commentary before I do that fight, because that reminds me that I have to go grab a wisdom potion if I don't have one in my possession at the moment. Because if you don't know, I think I haven't honestly used the Wish spell very much, but I seem to remember that that Wish requires a wisdom of 18 in order to get all the abilities from it. Which I thought was one of the coolest interactions in the game between a spell and the lore, because genies in D&D they're always trying to trick people. Like they have to obey the wish, but not the intent of the wisher. Like that dumb, it's like a car commercial or something. Some guy wishes for $1 million, and then he looks outside and there's 1 million male deer. Like that kind of thing. So I thought the fact that you had to be wise enough to use the wish spell, I thought that was really cool.
Give me some direction. I hope this is
Your presence here shows me how foolish I have Melisande.
So I remembered that Balthazar was tough, but I thought this character was strong enough to just, beat the hell out of him, not have to resort to any of my tactics at all. But he one-shot that Planetary. He must have gotten a stunning fist or one of the crazy high-level monk abilities off, and then he stunned me. And obviously, when you're held or any sort of crowd control, when you're a solo character, that's a death.
The greatest of the Ball spawn, the Fine. The dead god Baal has not been resurrected. You must understand what
I am here. Speak quick.
you are.
I am no dead thing. You have called.
You are no.
It will soon enough.
Then
True enough. Was I who harbored
Through my most trusted Deathstalker did I entrust,
one of his pre-ants.
and so you have betrayed me, Melisande.
That is correct. It was I. No, getting at bed. You turned. I have mo. Do you dare come and face me there? Or shall I then why?
enough. Your course is set, godchild. Return to your pocket plane, and when you are ready, she is not yet done taking the essence of Baal's children. I suggest that you move quickly, then, child. The final act of the prophecy awaits.
I'm waiting. Yeah, I'll see. Yeah. Give me some direction. It's done.
Saspinar is good servant. Oh, yes!
I don't know what to put for the last two spells here on level 5. I think
I'm waiting.
Spell Immunity would be a really good one. And maybe like Shadow Door, or I don't know, but the Cone of Cold was not helpful. The Skeleton Warriors are not helpful at this level. I already have enough lower resistances and breaches, just because I mean, I have them on the Spell Strike, or the Spell Trigger.
Yeah.
So at this very, very late game stage of the game, I'm starting to realize that Kensai Mage is much more powerful than this character, simply because you get the max damage rolls on your attacks.
Give me some direction.
But the difference is honestly not that big. I was thinking that the Kensai Mage just late game would be far and away more powerful than the Berserker, but honestly that Berserk ability is very, very valuable for the entirety of the game. And I don't know. I think in the future I would stick with Berserker Mage for a solo, but if you're going with 2 or 3, even a full party, I think a Kensai Mage does everything that the Berserker Mage does, but better. But as a solo character, the difference is fairly negligible.
Yeah.
So I realized that the most difficult part of this Ravager is, I guess it's kind of twofold. These bone blades are very hard hitting, they attack often, and they continually respawn with almost no cooldown, which is annoying. And the Ravager is so dangerous because he dispels effects like once per round on you, so you can't keep up your defensive spells that you often rely on.
Yeah.
I think maybe the spell trap spell that you get, like, or the ability from the Staff of the Magi, might be worthwhile to soak up some of those. I mean, eventually you'll see how I beat this Ravager. It takes me a few tries, and I honestly got kind of lucky.
Give me some direction. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. Give me some. Yeah. Give me some direction. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. Yeah.
Now, I didn't notice this at the time, but I think if I did a better job of juggling the aggro between my Simulacrum and my main character
Give me some direction.
on this Ravager, I could have beat him down. But
Give me some direction. I'm waiting.
But the fact that the Planetar moves over and eventually either dies or becomes unsummoned means all these bone blades are attacking my character or my simulacrum, which just means that there's so much DPS, there's no way I can possibly out-sustain it. Particularly because the Ravager is constantly dispelling my my stone skins, my mirror images, everything that keeps me alive.
Give me some direction. I'm waiting. Yeah.
Those Juggernaut Golems are worthless. I'm starting to think that maybe leaving that thing at the Clay Golem stage, or is it a Stone Golem? The previous upgrade of that book might be better.
Give me some direction. What is it? If I don't get some healing, this is going to be a real short trip.
The reason why the Juggernaut Golem is not very helpful is because he has no resistances, hardly. Everything at this stage in the game can hit him, because part of the reason a Juggernaut Golem is good is because it requires a +3 weapon or better to hit him, but everything is a +3 weapon at this point. Even the basic soldiers in Kethrin have like +3 weapons. And he also can't deal damage to the higher level enemies. Like, he was attacking the Ravager, and it was hitting almost all the time, but he wasn't doing any damage because his weapon was ineffective. These bone blades seem to never miss me at my armor class, and I don't have a bad armor class. I think it's like -10 or -11, something good.
I'll see to it.
Particularly considering the fact that the best armor class in the game that the game can give you is I think -20 is the max. So -10 or -11, and they're hitting me every time, means that even at the best armor class in the game, the bone blades are still going to hit you at least 50% of the time. So here I realize that I need to kind of change up my my tactics against this stupid Ravager. That he just beat the hell out of me. I had no chance in that fight. I'm just now noticing that I don't have a chain contingency on my character right now. I don't know what would be a good one
Give me some direction.
for this stage in the game.
This is worth it.
Maybe like a mislead and project image, or something cheesy like that. But I'll consider my options and put a chain contingency on.
To this place.
I'm waiting.
So here my thought is, alright, I'll just use my simulacrum, get him to do his improved alacrity and burn up his whole spellbook, and then go in and just beat the crap out of things, because he's just as good as a Planetar versus these bone blades, or almost as good.
I'm waiting.
But that urge to kill ability that the Ravager shoots out, that dire charm, it seems like that simulacrum can't resist that, and I don't think I have time to put on Berserk onto him
Direction.
before that urge to kill comes out. Maybe if I back up into the Fog of War, so only the bone blades are attacking me, not the Ravager, but you end up seeing how I beat this fight. There's a few more fails here.
You should not have come to this place.
Give me some direction. I'm waiting. Yeah.
So I appreciate all the positive feedback that I've gotten from this this playthrough. It's been going for like 8 months or something crazy like that, which is my fault. It shouldn't have taken nearly that long to do this playthrough. But everyone has been overwhelmingly positive and cool about the playthrough, and they like the fact that it's a little bit different than everything else they've seen on YouTube for this game. It's not a necessarily a speed run. It's not a challenge run. I'm not trying to do Iron Man or anything like that. I'm just trying to show kind of a power gamey way to go through the game with one character. So I guess in the soloing aspect, it is sort of a challenge run.
Give me some direction.
But I think particularly in Baldur's Gate 1, my videos are helpful for newer players and veterans alike. Just because I do know that game pretty well, and I can run through it fairly efficiently. You know, taking 2.5, 3 hours to beat Baldur's Gate 1 is pretty damn good, and getting a character maxed out and getting into Baldur's Gate 2. I think the route that I take in Baldur's Gate 1 gives you enough XP that you could even go through, like, if you wanted to do multiplayer with a friend of yours or something, I think you would have enough XP for 2 characters to get maxed out. Of course, if you sit there and grind up the Ankegs or, you know, any of the other places where you can grind XP, of course you can get 2 characters maxed out. You can get any number of characters maxed out if you have the patience.
Give me some direction. I'm waiting. Let's do it.
So because you guys have been so cool and supportive of this this channel, even though I'm not the most, you know, talkative, or I don't know, not the best YouTuber out there, I'd like to do something that you guys would enjoy, because I am planning on going through Siege of Dragonspear blind with a party. So let me know what sort of character you think would be entertaining to watch do that. My first instinct is either to do a shaman, or a nice guy sent me a file of actually a gnome bard, like a hacked. He's not like cheating, but ordinarily gnomes can't be bards. And I had mentioned in one of my previous playthroughs, or in one of my previous episodes, that I really like gnomes and I really like bards, and I always wanted to do one that was both. But anyway, he sent me a gnome bard that he was able to get working with, like, Shadowkeeper or something like that.
Scream! Scream for mercy! It's...
So my first instinct is to do that, or the shaman. If you have any other suggestions on what kind of character you think would be interesting to watch, then let me know. So I did notice right there at the end of that fight, when the Ravager was beating my ass, I had cast that Staff of the Magi spell trap, and the Ravager's Dispel magic didn't care. It just dispelled everything.
You should not have come to this place.
And here I finally decide to break down and turn on the spellcast autopause, because it's brokenly good.
Give me some direction.
Yeah, you see that the instant my simulacrum comes out, the Ravager casts that urge to kill.
some direction.
So I realized at this point I cast my second time stop a little bit too quickly. You can see all the spell effects still flying through the air, so none of my stuff has hit the Ravager at this point.
I'll see to it.
And then he moves out of the way so none of those skull traps actually hit him. You can see them all floating there in the air.
Give me some direction. I'm
I was
waiting.
looking for my simulacrum, but it seems like he either disappeared or he's urged to killed or whatever the hell that ability is called. And here I was trying to burst down this this Ravager with the Horrid Wiltings, you know, my best damaging spells. But so far he's taken everything I can throw at him, and he's kept on trucking. So I'm like, as a Hail Mary, I just start casting these Mord Swords, thinking that they're going to get bursted down really quickly by the Bone Blades or the Ravager himself. But I was wrong. These things are immune to everything. What the heck?
Give me some direction.
So since those things are tanking, I was thinking to myself, well, I'll just sit back here. I know the fire damage is not going to work on him, but I'll just throw this dagger at him. But he's immune to +3 weapons apparently. So I realized that after a second, and then decide, well, maybe if my magic swords are tanking for me, I can just run in and attack him. And sure enough, it works.
Yeah.
So if you're looking to do this fight with your Berserker Mage or your high-level character that is similar to
Give me
mine,
some direction.
then you want to cast these Mord Swords. These things are without a doubt the best summon in the game
Yeah.
for this fight in particular. So just cast, 5 of these and then use them to tank, and that's basically all you got to do.
I'm waiting.
Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll catch you in the next one, probably the last one.